The first item?
Minutes of the Special Successor Agency meeting for Tuesday, January 12, 2016. Need an adoption for that.
Is there a motion?
I'll move that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, without any
My abstention.
Abstention, please noted by Mr. Sinanian. And with no other objections or corrections, the minutes will be approved as submitted. Next item?
Item 2 is Director of Community Development regarding refinancing 2010 tax allocation bonds and related professional services agreement. 2A is Successor Agency resolution to approve refinancing of 2010 tax allocation bonds and related documents. 2B is a motion authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with Harrell and Company Advisors to provide financial advisory services in an amount not to exceed $54,500 for the refinancing of the 2010 tax allocation bonds. C is a motion authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with Jones Hall to act as bond counsel in an amount not to exceed $55,000 for the refinancing of the 2010 tax allocation bonds. And D is a motion authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with Quinton Timing as to act as disclosure counsels in an amount not to exceed $25,000 for the refinancing of the 2010 tax allocation bonds.
Thank you. Mr. Ochoa.
Yes, sir. Rather briefly, this may sound familiar because when we refinanced bond indebtedness previously, we had asked council about this particular bond issue, the 2010 tax allocation notes. However, at that point, the savings that we were looking to realize really didn't make it much worthwhile. And so we held off trying to time the market for the best opportunity. This is about $26 million, a little over $26 million from the 2010 bond issue that we now have the opportunity, if we act quickly, to take advantage of favorable rates with the bonding team that you see here today. That would save about $4.4 million for the taxing entities, the school district, the community college district, the county, and, of course, the city. The city's end in all this would be about $700,000. What you see here, the wrinkle, is that this is a negotiated sale versus a competitive sale. And honestly, as you recall from last time, there hasn't been a competitive sale in the wake of redevelopment dissolution because so much of the financial community doesn't quite know what DOF is going to do, as we found out through our 2 lawsuits that we hope to have sustained a favorable final ruling on top of the very strong tentative ruling that we received last week. So we would ask that you approve the resolution, that you approve the motions that are before you, and look forward after we complete the refinancing of this bond measure to look to the 2011 bonds. As you know, those bonds are still sitting in our treasury, held hostage by the state, that can be used for economic development, capital improvements that were listed in the offering statement, but we can't use them. So we are hoping that as we knock off those things that we can do, those tasks that we can accomplish, that at some point the state will further come to its senses and allow us to take on the 2011 bonds as well. Phil Lanzafame and his team are here if you have any specific questions about the refinance, as are Suzanne Harrell, our FA, Chick Adams, our bond counsel, and our underwriter, Robin Thomas, is with us as well. So if you have any questions, these are the folks that can give you those detailed answers.
Okay, Mr. Ochoa, so we're hiring an advisor, a bond counsel, and a disclosure counsel.
That's correct.
Essentially. And this is going to result in net savings to the city because we're getting cheaper money to pay for the more expensive.
That's correct,
bonds,
sir.
at the
Hopefully
higher
for
rates.
all taxing entities over the remaining life of the bonds, about a little over almost $4.5 million. So it's good for the schools, good for the college, good for the county, and it appears that even the state is going to bless this because it ultimately accrues to their bottom line as they have the obligation to pay for education.
Okay, are there any questions?
I have a question. There's a $4.5 million savings that we get $700,000 from it. The rest of it goes to other tax entities like school and the college.
Yes, sir.
But we are doing the refinancing, basically. We are paying for the refinancing. Are they going to pay portion of their share of the?
Ostensibly, we all pay for it because we're all taxing entities, and we all benefit according to the share of property tax dollars that we get. We get 13.7 cents on the dollar. Mm-hmm. We'll own 13.7% of the cost, as opposed to the school district gets about half. The county gets almost 15. 5-0? No, the school district, all in. That's all right. But we get a third share behind the schools, behind the county, but we do get a little bit more than the community college district.
Got it. So this is our share of the
This
cost.
is our share.
Got
So
it.
it'd
Thank
be
you.
great if we could have the whole 4.4.
yeah.
And in the old days, prior to the dissolution, we would be receiving a very large chunk of it, less our pass-through agreements. But in dissolution, it gets whacked up between the taxing entities, proportionally.
Maybe we need to lobby our assembly members to bring the redevelopment agency back.
Good luck.
Okay,
Ms. Devine?
Oh, need action.
well, I'm in favor of this transaction for a couple of reasons. This kind of transaction, this negotiated, as I've found out, I've done some research on the matter so that I could make a decision on this, and I find that it is common and accepted practice. It's the right time, it's a good time, the interest rates are down, and even though we're not getting the 4.4 million, we are still getting something, and that is a good thing for the city. However, I do have two questions, if you would. If, at the time of the transaction, if the interest rate is not what we expect it to be, can we negate the transaction, and if so, do we have any financial responsibility?
Yes, you can. We would recommend that if there is some savings, some significant savings, we do it. We all are precluded from doing any bond issue that increase costs. And beyond that, we cannot go past the maturity. So we can't extend the debt further, and we can't make it cost anymore. So it must cost less before we issue the bonds. If there's not significant savings, we fold our tent and go home. But we think that now's the right time that we could achieve these numbers.
But if not, then
The answer to your question is correct. We
we can get out of the transaction and pay a minimal fee, or is there a fee?
the fees are all based on issuance. Right. We would have some rating fees that we have to pay out of pocket.
Which
But
are
nominal
minimal.
Minimal.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. or Madam City Attorney, does the resolution need to be voted on separately, or can it all be taken as one?
It can all be taken together,
Okay.
Mr.
Would
Chair. Members of the-
someone like to move to A, B, C, and D?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Agency Member Devine.
Yes.
Friedman.
Yes.
Garpetian.
Yes.
Sinanian.
Yes.
Chair Najarian.
Yes. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, the successor agency is adjourned.